Top of the day, beautiful people. Top of the day. Betwabble. I've been feeling myself with juices and berries and stuff to kick this little cough thing my daughter then passed on to me and passed on to Isaiah. I'm like, OMG. So cleaning the house, spraying it with the Lysol to kill the virus, whatever it is going through the air. And I actually think they picked it up Sunday when they went to the Funville Park thing. Yeah, the place with the whole little kid jungle gym. And I wonder, I'm like, how sanitary can these places really be? Betwabble, trying to Betwabble. Because I don't think, personally, I could be wrong. They may have a small little employee that gets up in there with like their disinfectant through the little tunnels that the children crawl through. Betwabble, at least she got Betwabble. But I don't think so. That's why when the kids, they ask to go to like the little playlands on the side of the fast food place, I'm like, yeah, no, we'll go somewhere else, something that's more aired out. Because I'm not a germaphobe, but yeah, I don't like germs invading my space. So that's why I think they picked it up from. I think they picked it up Sunday. Well, she picked it up and she passed it along. But yeah, I think it's germs from other little kids and stuff. I can't. So, being extra careful cleaning and stuff and just trying to kick it out, airing out the house and spraying on everything with Lysol. So, we're going to you. Today is Thursday, January the 23rd, 2020, day 53 of year 2. We're reading Deuteronomy 4, 5, and 6. It's time to move on. Time to move away from this mountain. We've been hanging around here long enough. Excuse me. I'm taking one sip of water. All right, y'all. I'm going to start reading. All right. Tiffany, Betwabble. All right, y'all. Deuteronomy chapter 4. Okay. And now therefore hearken, O ye Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that ye may live. And go in and possess the land which Yahuwah your father have given you. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just reading all ahead of myself. I'm going to start over. Now therefore hearken, O ye Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that ye may live, and to go in and possess the land which Yahuwah, the God of your fathers, has given you. Ye shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall ye diminish aught from it, that ye may keep the commandments of Yahuwah, your God, which I command you. I know we heard that don't add, don't take away. We see that in Revelation, but it originated back here. Yahuwah first reissued the command to the children of Israel, children of Yisrael, children of Jacob, when they came out of slavery, because they had been in slavery so long, so we had to remind them. Most of them didn't know. So, verse 3. Your eyes have seen what Yahuwah did because of Baal Peor. For all the men that followed Baal Peor, Yahuwah thy God hath destroyed them from among you. But ye did cleave unto Yahuwah your God, who are alive, every one of you this day. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yahuwah my God commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. Wouldn't that be awesome if most of us, we just actually kept that, and those who come across us, they'd be like, man, they're such wise people. No, not really. We're just keeping in line with the rules and regulations Yahuwah said. But when we keep those, it causes other people in other nations to kind of take notice. And he teaches you how to be wise in obedience to the things that you're doing. And you will, as you get familiar with his voice, you will begin to actually hear things. If you have, most of you guys know, y'all hear y'all speak to y'all, but as you go on with something, it's like a daily thing. Like I used to, I'm not saying that you shouldn't get down on your knees and pray, but I constantly talk to him throughout the day. Like, man, Father, what's going on? Or I ask a question or something, or like, look, like I'll lose my kitchen keys or something like that. Well, I call them kitchen keys because sometimes kids, they they still learning how to follow directions. So I lock up stuff, right? And I keep the keys on this little keychain. So my oldest son, Elijah, comes over the other day, and he's like, Mom, you got something to eat? I was like, oh, then look at the refrigerator. So he's like, oh, where your kitchen keys at? So he came and got the keys and everything. So blah, 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 blah. Anyway, goes on. Probably about, he left, went home. Remember, he lives across the bridge in Newport News, in Chesapeake, right? So I come down here to cook dinner, and I'm looking for the kitchen keys. I'm like, where are my kitchen keys at? Now, mind you, behind him, he didn't lock everything back up. So everything except for my deep freezer was locked, but I needed to get in my deep freezer. And the bottom half of the refrigerator was unlocked, right? So I was like, okay, I need to get in my pantry, and I need to get in my freezer, So, and I'm looking out, where the keys at, y'all? I don't know. We didn't have the keys, Mom. I said, somebody had the keys, because it's like a remote, And if they get a hold of the keys, they like to hold on to them just in case they want to, like, change the channel or something, or they want to go in and get something. Yeah, so I just kind of keep the keys most of the time on my person. So, but anyway, looking for them keys for about 2 hours. Yeah, about an hour later, I started looking for them so I could come cook dinner. And we had been looking for them for like 2 hours. And then I got, I'm going to be honest, I got pissed off. I'm like, look, you're always touching stuff. Then I say, if you keep your hands off my stuff, I'll find it, where I put it at. Then I thought I had to start. I'm like, did I put them down somewhere? Then I was like, you know what? Let me just go upstairs and calm down. Who gets all excited over kitchen keys? Me, because it was time to cook dinner, and I wanted to go ahead and get it done. I had like a little boost of energy and stuff, So went lay across the bed, right? So I was like, I'm gonna put myself in time out. I'm gonna lay down for about 15 minutes, take a little nap, and just breathe. Right. So after about, when I was about to get back up and start looking for the keys again, I'm like, Father, where are my? And I said it just like that. Where are my kitchen keys? Soon as I said that, not even 30 seconds had passed. My little sister called me, Sherry. She said, hey, girl, hey. I'm like, hey, girl, hey. She said, oh, what you doing? I said, nothing. Laying across this bed. She said, look, what she say? She said, do you plan on, what question she asked? And I thought it was an odd question. Oh, she said something. She said, do you plan on, I forget, but it was an odd question. I'm like, where in the world you asked me that? Something about my kitchen. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what it was she said. Something about coming down to my kitchen or something or whatever. But I'm like, no, but I'm about to go cook. And she said, because Elijah left your house with your kitchen keys. I said, what? I'm like, where he at? Because remember, he came and asked, could he get something to eat? I said, yeah. He came and get the kitchen keys. And it didn't dawn on me not once that, Elijah came back today and he wanted to get kitchen, raid the refrigerator. Comes in, unlocks stuff, raises the refrigerator, put the keys in his pocket. I mean, you don't live here. Why you putting my kitchen keys in your pocket? So she said, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and bring them back to you. But I said, hold on, let me see something real quick. So I came to double check and see that I really need to get in my deep freezer to get anything. I just like to open up everything when I'm in the kitchen cooking. So I was like, okay, I can adjust the meal. I said, so you don't have to come all the way back. I said, but she was coming over the next morning. I said, just bring them back with you the next morning. I was like, okay, thank you. So I hung up the phone and I just sat there and I started giggling. I'm like, Father, sorry, forgive me, because I asked you with an attitude. Because I said it, Father, where are my kitchen keys? Like I was talking to one of the kids. I was like, Father, forgive me. I'm sorry. Keys weren't even in the house. It was my oldest son. I'm going down here and adjust this meal when I'm cooking for dinner. But anyway, what I'm saying is, I said all of that to say that the more we get familiar with y'all's voice, people will think, because he'll tell you to do stuff and I tell you to avoid things. Like, seriously, even with the business and everything, he said, don't do that. Look at this, or have me double check myself. And sometimes it's like, but it's a normal thing to me. I did, Leisha. I did apologize to the kids. Excuse me, I did. I made a habit. Excuse me, y'all. I made it a habit of apologizing to the little people in my house when I realize I'm wrong. And I've been doing it at least for like the last year. I was like, you know what, y'all? I'm sorry. I was wrong. I yelled at y'all, had y'all searching this house tirelessly for like 2 hours trying to find these kids. Like, I had Jeremiah come down, lift up the couch, move it. You know, it's like, I was completely out of control. I mean, I wasn't like a tyrant. But I just knew, look, start paying attention, y'all. And put the stuff back when you're done using it. I don't know, that's my biggest pet peeve. I'm sorry. Man, good gracious. I don't think I coughed at all like the last year of doing this video. Hold on. I don't know, whatever bug that is going around. It is a strong one because normally, like I feel it coming on, but then within a day, I mix some my little elixir or something, some apple cider vinegar or something like that, water, put a little bit of honey in it. Do that. Suck on some, no, not lemons, but I eat a bunch of citrus fruit, and it's normally like a day, but yeah, Alicia, I need to get some elderberries, but I went and bought some elderberry syrup. I know it's not as good as the fresh, but I'm just loading up on it. I was like, this is terrible. So, but yeah, so said all that to say, yeah, I know, gotcha. I stocked up on some more of that yesterday, so I'm gonna be going, I was about to say go ham, but I ain't going, I'm figuring a new term. I'm gonna consume a lot of it today because we can't have this going on. So I hate my voice cracking up when I'm speaking. All right, so I'm just saying, when we get familiar with Yahuwah's voice and when we read the scriptures and we meditate on it, and not just read, I read the Bible today. No, if you understand, you can pull out the principles behind the stories and apply them to your life. And the more you do that, you seem to become wise. You make wiser decisions. And people just think you know the most. Like, you really don't. I'm just like, only if you knew I just learned that like 2 hours ago. You know, so, but, you know, I've learned to observe and, you know, and become a little more humble and things. But I tell you, ain't nothing gonna grow you up like a house full of boys and a husband. Okay, y'all, I'm done. Let me go back. Okay, so I'll read this last verse, which how I got off into my little rabbit trail. Verse 6. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great who hath God so nigh unto them as Yahuwah our God is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great that hath statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law which I set before you this day? Only take heed to thyself and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen, and lest they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life. But teach them to thy sons and to thy sons' sons, especially the day that thou stood before Yahuwah thy God in Horeb, when Yahuwah said unto me, gather me the people together, and I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days that they shall live upon the earth, and that they may teach their children. And ye came near and stood under the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire unto the midst of heaven with darkness, clouds, and thick darkness. And Yahuwah spake unto you out of the midst of the fire. Ye heard the voice of the words, but saw no similitude, only hear a voice. And he declared unto you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even 10 commandments, and he wrote them upon 2 tablets of stone. And Yahuwah commanded me at the time to teach you the statutes and judgments, that you might do them in the land whither ye go over to possess it. Take ye therefore good heed unto yourselves, for ye saw no manner of similitude on the day that Yahuwah spake unto you in Horeb out of the midst of the fire, lest you corrupt yourselves and make you a graven image, the similitude of any figure, the likeness of male and female. We talked about this before. We are the image. We are the living images of Yah walking through the earth. So that's why he didn't show an image of himself, because you know it's you know, we love something, we want to wear it on our shirt, we're gonna make any kind of image of it, making gold chains with the symbol of your God, or whatever, only put it in our hoop earrings, get it tattooed on our body. He would say, don't do that. He said, he didn't say it, but he said it in the very beginning. And the principle didn't change, aspect. You okay?
How does that squishy thing?
Joshua put it up, or he walking around with it in his hand. I told him to put it down. We'll look at it later. But he said, don't do these things because you're going to end up corrupting yourselves. And think about it. People are corrupting themselves thoroughly, through and through. With all time, everybody making up their own God this day. It's all kinds of gods that people have created from their own mind. How can we, the create a God, right? It blows my mind. Yeah, people create these gods of wood and stone, and they begin to worship them. He said, you're going to corrupt yourself by doing this. He said, don't do this. He said, you'll hear me. He said, I spoke to you. You'll hear me. I've made you to hear me. And if we get familiar with his words, sometimes he may manifest himself, to people. I've seen him in my dreams, but I seen him in my dreams according to what I understood at the time. And at the time that I saw him, I'm not trying to be racist here, but, I saw a white Jesus. Because growing up, that's all I saw. So I like him, oh, God, or white Jesus, So when, he'll still use what you understand to talk to you and speak to you, especially if you dream, and I dream a lot. So since I've grown and I understand, so I've never seen that figure again, since I began to understand, so. But he said, yeah, don't do these things. He said, you don't need to do that. He said, I'm there. You're the image of me. You don't need to create any images of anything. Verse 16, I read it again. Lest you corrupt yourselves and make you a graven image, the similitude of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any beast that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged fowl that fly through the air, the likeness of anything that creepeth on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth. And lest thou lift up thine eyes unto heaven, and when thou seest the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the host of heaven, shouldest be driven to worship them and serve them. And we know some people worship the constellations and the sun and the moon and the stars. He put those there for signs for different seasons and times, so we can understand the different times that we're in, because man has put their hand in everything. They've manipulated a lot, but they cannot manipulate the sun and the moon and the stars. They can cover it up with chemtrails and clouds that they created with their machines and all this stuff that they're spraying from. They can cover it up to keep you from seeing it, but they can't touch them and manipulate them. So when they shine through, if you understand, you've been paying attention, you can understand. At least thou lift up thine eyes unto heaven, when thou seest the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the hosts of heaven, should be driven to worship them and serve them, which Yahuwah thy God hath divided unto all nations under the whole heaven. He said, I've given these to all people to understand. But Yahuwah have taken you and brought you forth out of the iron furnace, even out of Egypt, unto him a people of inheritance, as ye are this day. Furthermore, Yahuwah was angry with me for your sakes, and swear that I should not go over Jordan, and that I should not go into that good land which Yahuwah thy God hath given thee for an inheritance. But I must die in this land. I must not go over Jordan, but ye shall go over and possess that good land. Take heed unto yourselves, lest ye forget the covenant of Yahuwah your God, which he made with you, and make you a graven image, or the likeness of anything which Yahuwah thy God hath forbidden thee. For Yahuwah thy God is a consuming fire, even a jealous God. When thou shalt beget children and children's children, and ye shall have remained long in the land, and shall corrupt yourselves, and make a graven image or the likeness of anything, and shall do evil in the sight of Yahuwah thy God, to provoke him to anger. I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that ye shall soon utterly perish from off the land whereunto ye go over Jordan to possess it. And ye shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall utterly be destroyed. And Yahuwah shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither Yahuwah shall lead you. And there you will serve gods, the work of man's hands, wood and stone, whither you see nor hear. And there ye shall serve gods, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell, But if from thence thou shalt seek Yahuwah thy God, thou shalt find him, if thou shalt seek him with all thy heart and with all thy soul. When thou art in tribulation, and all these things are come upon thee, even in the latter days, if thou turn to Yahuwah thy God, and shalt be obedient unto his voice, for Yahuwah thy God is a merciful God. He will not forsake thee, neither destroy thee, nor forget the covenant of thy fathers which he sware unto them. For ask now of the days that are past, which are before thee. For since the day Yahuwah created man upon the earth, and ask from the one side of heaven unto the other, whether there have been any such thing as great as this, or hath been heard like it. Did ever people hear the voice of Yahuwah speaking out of the midst of a fire? And hast thou heard and lived? Or hath God essayed to go and take him a nation from the midst of another nation by temptations, by signs, and by wonders, and by war, and by a mighty hand, and a stretched out arm, and by great terrors, according to all that Yahuwah your God did for you in Egypt before your eyes? Unto thee it was shown, that thou might know that Yahuwah, he is God, and there is none else beside him. Out of heaven he made thee to hear his voice, that he might instruct thee. And upon the earth he showed thee his great fire, and thou heard his words out of the midst of the fire. And because he loved thy fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them, and brought thee out in his sight with his mighty power out of Egypt, to drive out nations from before thee, greater and mightier than thou art, to bring thee in, to give thee their land for an inheritance as it is this day. Know therefore this day, and consider it in thine heart, that Yahuwah, he is God in heaven above, and upon earth beneath there is none else. Thou shalt keep therefore his statutes and commandments which I command thee this day, that it may go well with thee, and thy children after thee, and thou mayest prolong thy days upon the earth, which Yahuwah thy God giveth thee forever. Then Massa severed 3 cities on this side Jordan toward the sun rising, that the slayer might flee thither, which should kill his neighbor unaware, and hated him not in time past, and that fleeing unto one of these cities he might live, namely Bezer in the wilderness, in the plain country of the Reubenites, and Ramoth and Gilead of the Gadites, and Golan and Bashan, and of the Manassites. And this is the law which Massa set before the children of Yisrael. These are the testimonies and the statutes and the judgments which Massa spake unto the children of Yisrael after they came forth out of Egypt. Remember, Yisrael is Israel. That's the Bantu way of saying it. On this side of Jordan, in the valley, over against Beth Peor, in the land of Sihon, king of the Ammonites, who dwelt in Heshbon, whom Massa or Moses and the children of Yisrael smote after they were come forth out of Egypt. Yes. Okay, give me 1 minute. And they possessed his land, and the land of Og, king of Bashan, 2 kings of the Amorites, which were on this side of the Jordan toward the sun rising. No, they're not done yet, babe. Hold on, I'll give you one out of the pantry. Hold on. From Air, which is by the bank of the river, Arnon, even unto Mount Sihon, which is Hermon, and all the plain on this side of the Jordan, eastward, even unto the sea of the plain, under the springs of Pisgah. All right, y'all, chapter 5. Hey, I've been running my mouth too much. All right, chapter 5. Hold on, Bella. And Massa called all ye Yisrael, and said unto them, Hear, O ye Yisrael, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your ears this day, that ye may learn them, and keep and do them. And Yahuwah our God made a covenant with us in Horeb. Hey, little girl, hey. Don't do that. 1 second, let me give her this banana. All right. Yeah. You want me to open it? You got it? No, you don't need to cut it with a knife. Okay. Verse 3. Yahuwah made not this covenant with our fathers, but with us, even us, who are all of us here alive this day. Yahuwah talked with you face to face in the mount out of the midst of the fire. I stood between Yahuwah and you at the time to show you the word of Yahuwah, for you were afraid by reason of the fire, and went not up into the mount, saying, I am Yahuwah thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. And thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters beneath the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself unto them, nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love and keep me and keep my commandments. Okay, let me bring out something here, just in case you haven't been paying attention. Okay. Once we get on further in, we'll see some instances of this, but some, well, I've heard some people, and I used to think this way till I actually understood it. He says that visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love and keep my commandments. You know, if you grew up in the church, you heard this thing called generational curses, right? And I believe this is where they pull it from. So if the father has an issue with something, with some kind of sin problem or morality issue, character flaw in his life, and he doesn't get that straight in his life, that is passed on to his son. And that particular thing will continue to pass down that family line until somebody conquers it and breaks the curse, essentially summing it up. But what happens is, he said that the iniquity, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. So it was essentially saying that I'm going to punish your children for your sins, right? But you have to understand what was going on. It's not, okay, say if my father sinned and he did something and I decide to continue on in that sin, I will reap those same consequences of that particular sin that I was committing. Now, if my father was committing a sin, I decided, you know what, I'm not going to go that way in life. I'm going to do it differently, you know. I want to be more upstanding. I want to build character. You know, I want to be someone who can be trusted. So I'm not going to walk in my father's ways. And when we get through Samuel and the books of the kings and stuff, it's going to get into a lot of detail about sons who walked in the ways of their fathers who were wicked, and sons who walked in the ways of, who didn't walk in the ways of their wicked fathers, and they were blessed. Like King Josiah, his father was wicked, but he changed his ways and the kingdom was blessed during his time. There's a couple other different instances. But the thing is, and it also says, a curse without cause shall not alight. So that curse won't pass down to you, or you won't be punished for the iniquity of your fathers or your forefathers if you decided to change. You know, so he said it's a disgusting and it's a wicked thing to punish the righteous for the wicked. It's the same principle. So my father was wicked and I decided to do what was right. I would be blessed because I decided to do what's right, and I break the curses that come along with that sin. You know, if you ever paid attention, I just kind of wanted to bring that out a little bit. But he's going to give a lot of examples.
Mommy, my plate.
Yeah. Did that break? It just sounded like it broke. It did it. Yeah, see, if you just ate it out the skin, we wouldn't have had this issue. Pick it up. Put it in the trash. Put a cup in the sink. Come get us a banana. She wanted to cut a banana up and put it in a cup. I told her just eat it out the cup. But anyway. Oh, don't forget that piece. You stepped on it. Okay, so if you decide to live a life that's upstanding and moral and full of character, not saying you're going to be perfect every time, but if you make it a habit of correcting your wrongs when you do it, it doesn't matter who it is, whether it's to an adult or even to a child. They're people too. You know, they have feelings and they're going to grow up and be big people, you know, so, and children remember stuff. And if you don't teach, that's one way you can teach them early, and you can build character in them early because they're watching everything you do. If you're wrong and they know you're wrong, and let me tell you, kids soak up everything, especially if you've been teaching them in a certain way, teaching them ways to help them be moral people as they grow up. When they see something that's off, if you do something, they were like, well, Mom, didn't you say, hey, I know it. I said, you can't do that. You can't just talk about it. You actually have to live a life and be about it. And sometimes it can be hard, and sometimes truth hurts, but it causes us to grow. But we have a choice. We can choose to take the tough road and do what's right, Or we can just continue to groom ourselves to be a vagabond, and your kids watching it, you're teaching them the very same thing. But they'll have a choice too, because they'll see you, and if they're wise, they'll look at your life and they'll take note. Mama shouldn't have did that, or daddy shouldn't have did that. You taught us. And kids are always saying, because I know what I thought growing up. Not that my parents lived immoral lives. They weren't perfect, but I sit back, and from an early, I don't know, I really observe things, because I'm like, I'm not the person that likes pain. Okay, I may do something, get myself in trouble, but if I see other people doing stuff and it's not going well for you, yeah, we're not going to go that route. Okay, what other options do we have? I'm going to sit there and I'm going to think about those things, because I don't want this to end bad. You did what? And that happened? Yeah. No, why did you do? You didn't think about that all the way through? Like, things like that. And the older I get, and age is not necessarily an indication of wisdom either, because it really depends on the person and how mentally mature they are, and how observant they are, and how well they learn from their mistakes. If you're just hard-headed through and through, and you just don't learn from nothing, you're just going to be a old vagabond. And that's a disgusting thing to see. It really is. It's a horrible thing to see an older person that you can tell is old in age and has no regard for life's rules for themselves or anybody else. That's a terrible thing to see. It really is. This is a disgusting thing, because what are you teaching those around you? Because people are learning by looking at your life, and we learn what not to do by looking at your life. It's never too late to change. But I'm just saying, so with this particular one right here, he doesn't still punish people because of their father's sins if they decided to change their life. It's a principle. If you do what's right, good things happen. If you do what's wrong, consequences come along with what you've done that was wrong. Okay, but y'all get the point, right? Okay, I just read it one more time and I keep going. Verse 9, thou shalt not bow down thyself unto them, nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. And that's how generations continue to be blessed, because if you teach your children to live an upright moral life, and you teach them to do what's right and to honor themselves, honor Yah, and honor other people, they're going to teach their children that. And you can just reproduce generations of righteous people. Not righteous in the fact or holier than thou, but you're cultivating a family of people who have a moral compass that they actually listen to, and it doesn't get the best of them, and their conscience hasn't been seared. So if they do something wrong, they're going to make amends. They're going to apologize. As soon as they realize they've done something wrong, they're going to be like, oh, I got to go make that right. And they'll go apologize to whoever it is. If they've done something where they need to recompense somebody or restore something to them, because if you do something to somebody and you cause them to lose something, it's only right. A lot of times people get forgiveness chopped and screwed. They get it completely messed up. You can't do something to somebody and cause them to lose something and just be like, oh, I'm sorry. Forgive me. Goodbye. No. Because if you... I think I used this example before. If I let you borrow my car and you crash my car, first of all, something must have had. If I don't think this all the way through, okay, you're not on my insurance, I can take you and drop you off. I don't trust you like that, bro. I ain't gonna give you my car because a lot of things can happen. I know you a safe driver, but it's other people on the street. All those things gonna go through my mind first before I'm And if you just come back, oh, I crashed your car, sorry. I'm be like, sorry. Like, that apology means nothing. Even if I forgave you, there's going to be some art that's going to build up in my heart. Like, it's just going to build up. That's just naturally how we are wired. Even if you don't want to, there's going to be it's going to be something there that hasn't been extinguished because the other person has not made that right. Forgiveness is more than just, oh, I'm sorry for what I did to you. Now you have to make amends. If you've stolen something or you caused something to be damaged or destroyed, you have to replace it. That's a part of forgiveness. Yes. Yeah. In a minute. You have to replace what you caused to be messed up along with that apology. Otherwise, that apology is not an apology. That asking you to forgive me, like, and I hate that. And I only use these examples because I was raised in the church and I come out the church and I seen this foolishness. Oh, just forgive me, sister. Forgive me, brother. Yeah. That's why you got a lot of vagabonds in the church and stuff. And they got forgiveness all chopped and screwed. And y'all, that is not forgiveness. Y'all are taking advantage of people. You can't just do something to somebody. Oh, forgive me. Or you know what I'm talking about. Y'all done been in the church. Y'all done seen the shenanigans. But forgiveness is more than just I'm sorry. You must restore. And who actually goes through that when we go through some different things. You have to replace it. You have to make amends. If money was lost, you need to restore it. If there was something, a material object, no, Josh, that was lost, you have to replace it. And it can't be some inferior product either. It must be of the same value, caliber, or something better. It cannot be something less than what I've given to you or let you borrow. Excuse me. So if I let you borrow my Rolls Royce, you better give me a Rolls Royce. Same year, same model. Or if it's out of stock, you can't find one, you better give me something better. But you can rest assured, if I got a Rolls Royce, I'm not even going to give you the opportunity to have to come back and apologize to me because you are not going to drive it. I'm going to drop you off where you need to go. You know, when you grow up, you think your wisdom expands your thought process. So some things you're just not going to do because you will see that some people are not, although their intentions may be good, they may not have the means to pay you back or restore whatever it was of this. Why would you give something of great value to somebody that doesn't know how to handle something like this? Like, why would you leave your business to be ran by somebody who's never run a business before? You can't do that. You have to use wisdom and also allowing people, you help them by thinking through for them the things. They may have good intentions, but say even if somebody can borrow money, hey, can I borrow $200? I get back to you such and such and such. Now if you know this person and you know what kind of job they work, or they always got bills of different things, you see different things always happen to come up where they losing money. Now it's my choice to loan you this money because I know there's a high probability. That's why people run credit checks. There's a high probability that I won't get this money back, or you're gonna send me around the ringer before I get it back. Now it's my choice. I can take this risky investment. I can lend you this, but it's a high probability that I won't get it back at the time you say you're gonna get it back. Now you can totally shock me and give me my money back this Friday when you say you're gonna get it back when you get paid. But 9 times out of 10, either you got stuff coming out your account where that creditor gonna tap that account first, and the money you're supposed to get to me gonna go to the creditor, or you will need to get food for your house, or this and that. That's okay. That's fine. But when you borrow money from somebody and you know you can't give it back, you just need to be upfront and honest. Listen, can I borrow $200? I'm not exactly sure when I can give it back, but I need it. And you can ask my sisters. I ain't gonna give you the third degree, but I only do this because I was taught. My uncle taught me to do this. Because if they messing up their money, they gonna mess up your money too. So I've learned to use wisdom when loaning people stuff. If I know they don't have a good track record with paying stuff back, I ain't got it this time. Or I may give you a chance. Okay, what's going on? This and this. Okay, and I know you working. Okay, you just got paid. What happened to your paycheck? You asked me to borrow money. Explain to me what happened to your paycheck. What, and if they can't tell me this, or you ain't got to go show me proof or anything. But I'm just saying, I'm just sitting here trying to think. Okay, now I could just totally decide. Okay, maybe they're getting better. They're getting their life in order. They're gonna do this thing. So I can choose. Okay, see if they're doing this, and loan them the $200, and see if they give it back just to test them. Now, they could give it back. Okay, you good money. So if you do that, you keep your word the first time, it's a high probability that you need it again. If you need it again, I'm going to loan it to you because I can't afford to lose it. I can't afford to give it. My dad said so. Oh, exactly. That's it, almost the same exact words Uncle Anthony taught me. He said, listen, Pam. See, because when I came back off my first cruise, I only had Elijah and I wasn't married yet. So I banked up a lot of money over this. I had all this hazardous pay. No, I was a third class. That was a lot of money to me, so the amount of money that I was getting, I wasn't spending on anything. I was on the ship. I had maybe like $40 or something coming, to my account where I can pull it off the ship's ATM. But all that other money, I was just letting sit in the bank. So when I came back, he pulled me to the side. He said, listen, he said, not that he knew people was going to start asking me for stuff. He said, let me just give you a little bit of wisdom, He said, don't loan money to people if you can't afford to just give it to them. Betwabu, TT, Betwabu. He said, don't loan money to people unless you can afford to just give it to them. He said, now you can loan it and get it back. He said, that's fine. He said, but you have to understand within yourself, he said, things happen with people. He said, and when they ask you for something, if you can't afford to just give it to them without expecting it back, you probably shouldn't give it to them at all. Give it to them at all. And he told me that, shucks. I was that was like 1999. He told me that, but that's something that's always stuck with me, and that's a principle that I live by. So a lot of times I'll just give it away, especially if I already know that you're not going to be able to give it back. Go ahead and keep it, So it's a principle. But if you wanna test them or kind of help them grow up, you can set things in order. Don't give them more than what you know they could possibly pay you back. Otherwise you're just setting you both up for failure. And it's a high probability that the relationship that you guys have is going to be destroyed. It's going to become tense and tight over money that's being loaned. I don't think that should be done with family and friends. So if you can't afford to just give it to them, don't give it at all. It's just a good principle to live by all around. But now you can't, not saying you got to give everything away. You can give something, loan somebody something and expect it back, but if they don't give it back the first time, okay, say sometimes this happened to, okay, say this, I'm going to give it back Friday. Like, I'm sure Alicia don't mind me sharing this story. So one time, this is a while ago, she had asked me to borrow like $100. I think it was like $100. She said, okay, I'm going to get it back. She want to get paid. And I trust Alicia. She's a nurse and all that stuff. I was like, okay, cool. And I didn't ask her because I know, whatever. I trust her. I know her life. So, yeah, go ahead. So, but here's the thing. When she got paid, she gave me the money back. She said, listen, here's the money. She said, I just wanted to keep my word with you. She said, but I want to ask you if I can borrow it back again because I have to pay this. And when she did that, it caused another principle to go into place for me. I'm like, well, she paid it back when she said, and then she asked again. But the whole point was she kept her word with me, and I knew I just let her go. I gave it right back to her. I was like, you know what? Don't even worry about paying it back. I mean, because it caught me off guard because it had never been done before. But she kept her word. Not that I thought that she wasn't going to keep her word, but it was just, I don't know, something else clicked in my brain when she did that. She said, listen, here you go. I just want to keep my word. Here's $100 back. But I said, thank you, sis. She said, but can I borrow it again? First, I just want to make sure I kept my word with you because I need to go pay this and this and this. And when she said that, I'm like, okay. Yeah. There you go. Because I know you're good for it. So, but you get it, the whole principle behind it. And like I told her, when I gave it to her that time, I was like, don't even worry about it. So that's just something good to live by. You always want to keep your word, especially with family and friends, because of those relationships. Relationships are precious. And if you borrow money from somebody and you really can't afford to give it to them back, you just need to stay in communication with them. Even if you don't have it or something happened and they did take it from your account and you can't physically put it back in their hands, go talk to them. Don't start dodging them because, oh man, she gonna ask me or he gonna ask me for this money. Don't do that because you owe me money. I know you owe me money. And some people aren't as what's the word? Some people just gonna blurt, no, that nigga owe me $40. They do it. They tell you business in the street. And now when people start doing and start bad mouthing, you're like, oh, they can't be trusted. You can't get none. You get your money back. I'm not the type of person that does that because I understand life happens. So it's like, I just want to know. And sometimes if I already think because I have a couple people, a couple cousins that I know, if I already know that their mind is not there, I'm going to just kind of set it out ahead of time. I'm not going to sit back and be like, just wait and see if they do it. I'm going to tell them up front, like, listen, you say you're going to get back Friday. If you can't get back Friday, just let me know. That way I know, you're keeping your word. I know what's going on, So, because if I'm really expecting that money back to pay for something, I want to know that I can trust you. And I'll say that face to face to them. And so that way we won't have any issues. I clear up anything that could possibly go wrong. But I want to help them in a way. But you can't help people a lot of times just constantly giving them and giving them and giving them and giving them. You know, like what my mom said. She said, offer people a hand up and not a handout. And sometimes a handout is really needed at times. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to learn to decipher between the two. Is this a handout? Is this really a hand? And is this handout going to enable you or cause you to become in a worse state? Or do you need a hand up? Do you need some wisdom? Do we need to sit down for a few minutes and go over some things, because maybe some things aren't clicking with you to where you can get your life affairs in order? And nobody's perfect. We still have things that we do, but money issues was a big thing that me and my husband had to learn when we first got married. Now, mind you, I was in the military and I was getting this money, and you know, he coming from a place where, you know, he doing his thing or whatever. When we come together, I don't know why it didn't click at first, but I'm glad my uncle got a hold of me when we first got here, because we had to learn some things the hard way, because we come out of just living in our parents' houses to now taking care of our own houses. And it's like all this time growing up, mom and dad paying for everything. So now you grown up, you got to do grown up things. You got to pay bills. So we got our first apartment. I mean, I don't care. We got evicted from our first apartment because we weren't paying our bills, or we was paying it. I'm sorry, Tiffany. I'm sorry. You know, it's recorded. You know, we was paying our stuff late and everything, and everybody, they don't accept late payments. They much rather have their payments on time because they have obligations that they have to take care of. So you can't always pay people late either. You have to keep in, you know. But we learned a very valuable lesson by being evicted from the place. And what is funny, because it was a guy that was working in maintenance that was real cool with my husband. He just happened to be in the front office, and this was like, we only had Elijah, so shucks. This was like 2000, maybe like 2001, you know. So he overheard it. So he told James, said, look, I heard them talking in the office that, you know, this, you know. So James was kind of embarrassed, like, yeah, the money been kind of tight, and, you know. So he was like, they doing eviction papers for y'all. Let me tell you what my husband did. My husband went and rented a truck that same day. We moved all our stuff out of our apartment before they can evict us. Well, let me tell you, we have grown up a whole lot since them early days of marriage. He said, ain't nobody gonna kick us out. We're gonna move out first. You know, we was really acting black, you know. So I was like, wait a minute, my mama didn't raise me this way. Like, what are we doing? You know, so, but when we did that, I felt so bad. Now, mind you, we have paid them people off. It's been years ago. But I think about different things we encountered. So we was kind of staying in a hotel for a couple of days because it was an all of a sudden thing. My husband heard, hey, they're going to evict you. So he said, ain't nobody going to evict us. We're going to move out first. I'm like, as a matter of fact, I was pregnant. We only had Elijah, but I was pregnant with Jeremiah. So, and I was only like, let me see. I was probably about 5 months, but I was still sick a lot. So it was only so much that I could do. So he grabbed a friend from the church who was going to church folks doing this, you know. So grabbed a friend that came and helped us or whatever. I'm throwing up throughout the process because I had morning sickness all day long, you know. So we moved out and went into a hotel for a couple of days. I was so embarrassed to tell anybody, but we was trying to find another place to go because we didn't really have a deposit at that time. You know, so we just kind of roughed it out for a couple of days, and it was really a lesson learned, and it caused us to grow up, you know. So those different things you're going to encounter in life, and it's good to learn from those lessons so you don't repeat them, and you remember that, yeah, Trina, yeah. So, oh yeah, you remember, because let me tell you, this was definitely during the time we were still going to Calvary, because we went to go talk to the pastor, so we had to tell him what was going on. And the church actually it was a humbling thing because the church took up an offering. He called us to the front of the church. We had no idea he was going to do this. Called us to the front of the church, and the church took up an offering for us. Not only I was grateful, but I was kind of embarrassed. And I felt like a charity case. But, you know, it was one of those things where it wasn't so much a handout for us. It was a handout, but it was also a hand up because it caused us to think. And we were really, really prideful at that time. And it's like, we can't be out here like this and people thinking certain things about us. I mean, man, it was true at that time because we were idiots. We were idiots. We was just like, we living life like we ain't got no bills to pay, and things about to get cut off. And it was this time, Trina, you remember this time, our power had got cut off. And my husband, he was pissed because we had gotten those, but we didn't have the money because we was being foolish with the money, not paying our bills. And you would think it would click after a couple of different months, right? But it didn't. And I'm like, I don't know where my mind was at. I'm like, we were complete numbskulls back in the day. So they finally cut our power off, and James was pissed because he grew up in a house. I don't think their power ever been cut off. They've been living in the same house ever since he been born. James like 41 years old. Parents still live in the same house, right? So when the power got cut off, and my baby brother was staying with us for that particular summer, and Jeremiah, I had already had Jeremiah. He was a baby. And Elijah was there. So we had Elijah and Jonathan in the house with us. And they were old enough, like, why we ain't got no power? So, but James walked through the house pissed, mad all day long. So, and I called Trina. Trina's like, matter of fact, she had her niece and her nephew during that summer too. And Jonathan and Elijah went to go stay over her house for a few days. And so we laying in the bed that night. James pissed, talking all mad while we laying in the bed. Jeremiah laying there between us. Power out in the house, he going off and stuff. He said, I'm gonna have to call my mom and daddy. I'm like, well, we should have paid our bills. I said, you know what? I'm at ease because all this last 2 weeks, we've been worried about them coming to cut our power off. What we got to worry for now? They done already cut the power off. We might as well go to sleep. So he was pissed. He was even more pissed that I said, ain't no need to worry about our power being cut off. They done already cut our power off. Let's go to sleep. It's dark anyway. So I was being a comedian and stuff, and he was fiery hot, pissing mad with me. Yeah, Trina. So she can attest to some of the stuff that I'm saying to you. So we just kind of learned some things the hard way. Being hard-headed, it caused us to grow up. You would think we would have grown up a little bit faster, but we've become a lot wiser in regards to dealing with money and some things. Now, we've come across different things, but if I had to do it all over again, I completely would, because we're in business, and I've learned some very valuable business lessons being foolish in business, and I use these because these are things that we've personally had to deal with in our life, and it caused us to grow up. So now I would completely do it all over again, because now we're at the point where our company has 2 state 5-year contracts, and if our mind was still back where it was, we could not be doing what we're doing now. We really couldn't, So it ain't like we're rich or anything like that, but we see growth, and it's a good thing to learn from your mistakes and to acquire wisdom from other people where you don't have to make those same mistakes, and just acquire wisdom from the things you experience in daily life and just take it and keep building on those things. You just become better and better as you get older. That way, when you're older, your wisdom will supersede your age, and it'll seem like you've been here before because you have wisdom that you could not have gained in one lifetime. Let me tell you, we doubled up on the lessons that we had to learn. We gained a lot of wisdom, but we learned from them. What, baby? Wait a minute, hold on. Come up, sit up here with me. Let me finish reading this. Okay, let me finish. Okay, I'm done with my stories for today, y'all. Let me finish this. So I still got one more chapter to read. I'm sorry. Okay, verse 16. No, I'm sorry. Verse 10, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahuwah thy God in vain, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Keep the Sabbath day and sanctify it as Yahuwah thy God has commanded thee. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of Yahuwah thy God. In it thou shalt do no work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thine ox, nor thine ass, nor any of the cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates, and the maidservant and the manservant may rest well as thou. Hey, who has that? Give that back to her. Okay, so what was that? Verse 15. And remember that thou wast a servant in the land of Egypt, and that the Lord thy God brought thee out thence through a mighty hand and by a stretched out arm. Therefore Yahuwah thy God commanded thee to keep the Sabbath day. Honor thy father. Okay, hold on 1 second, babe. Honor thy father and thy mother as Yahuwah thy God has commanded thee, that thy days may be prolonged, that it might go well with thee in the land which Yahuwah thy God hath given thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, neither shalt thou bear false witness against thy neighbor, neither shalt thou desire thy neighbor's wife, neither thou shalt covet thy neighbor's house, his field, or his manservant, or his maidservant, his ox, or his ass, or anything that is thy neighbor's. These are the words Yahuwah spoke unto all your assemblies in the mount of the midst of the fire, of the cloud, and of the thick darkness, and with a great voice, and he added no more. And he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone, and delivered them unto me. And it came to pass, when ye heard the voice out of the midst of the darkness, for the mountain did burn with fire, that ye came near unto me, even all the heads of your tribes and your elders. And ye said, Behold, Yahuwah your God hath showed us his glory and his greatness, and we have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. We have seen this day that Yahuwah doth talk with man, and he lived. Now therefore, why should we die? For this great fire will consume us. If we hear the voice of Yahuwah our God any more, then we shall die. For who is there of all flesh that have heard the voice of the living God speaking out of the midst of the fire, as we have, and live? Go thou near and hear all that Yahuwah thy God shall say, and speak unto this and speak thou unto us all that Yahuwah our God shall speak unto thee, and we will hear it, and we will do it. And Yahuwah heard the voice of your words, and when ye spake unto me, and Yahuwah said unto me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people, which they have spoken unto thee. They have said well all that they have spoken. Oh, that there was such a heart in them, that they would fear me and keep all my commandments always, that it might be well with them and with their children forever. Go say to them, Get you into your tents again. But as for thee, stand there here by me, and I will speak unto thee all the commandments and all the statutes and the judgments which thou shalt teach them, that they may do them in the land which I give them to possess it. Ye shall observe to do all, therefore, as Yahuwah your God hath commanded you. You shall not turn aside to the right hand or the left. Ye shall walk in all the ways which Yahuwah your God hath commanded you, that ye may live, and that it may be well with you, and that ye may prolong your days in the land which ye shall possess. Last chapter for the day. Oh my gosh, I ran my mouth so much. All right, it's only 25 verses, y'all. Deuteronomy chapter 6. Now these are the commandments and statutes, the judgments, that ye might do them in the land whither ye go to possess it, that thou mightest fear Yahuwah thy God, to keep all the statutes and his commandments, which I command thee, thou, thy son, and thy son's son, all the days of thy life, that thy days may be prolonged. Hear therefore, O ye Salili, and observe to do it, that it may be well with thee, and that ye may increase mightily, as Yahuwah the God of thy fathers have promised thee, in the land that floweth with milk and honey. Hear, O ye Salili, Yahuwah our God is one, and ye shall love Yahuwah thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children.
I'm taking my iPad.
Okay, I'm going to take it from him in a minute. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou rise up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. And thou shalt write them upon the posts of thy house, and on thy gates. And it shall be, when Yahuwah thy God shall have brought thee into the land which he sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and Jacob, to give thee great and goodly cities, which thou buildest not, and houses full of all good things which thou filled not, and wells dig which thou dig not, vineyards and olive trees which thou did not plant. When thou shalt have eaten and be full, then beware lest thou forget Yahuwah, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt, from this house of bondage. Ain't that what a lot of people do when bad times pass? They stop calling out on the name of Yah, and everything is good, money flowing in there, and it seems like we get further and further away because we don't really have anything to ask him for, because all of our needs are being met. And a lot of people, that's when a lot of people normally meet Yah, when they're in need of something, or they're dying or need something that they can't do themselves. They tend to begin to notice him. But it's a good, that's not always a bad thing, because that may be the way that he brings you to him. But after that, when he starts prospering you shouldn't forget him. Don't just call on him like when things are good, but also continue to be his friend. Continue to be a friend with him.
Mom.
Yes. I only got like 10 more verses to read. Hold on to it. I know. Okay. And ye shall not go after other gods of the people which are round about you. For Yahuwah thy God is a jealous God among you. Lest ye anger Yahuwah thy God. Lest the anger of Yahuwah thy God be kindled against thee and destroy thee from off the face of the earth. Ye shall not tempt Yahuwah your God as ye tempted him in Massa. Ye shall diligently keep the commandments of Yahuwah your God, and his testimonies, and his statutes which he commanded thee, and thou shalt do that which is right and in good sight of Yahuwah, that it may be well with thee, and that thou may goest in and possess the good land which Yahuwah thy God swear unto thy fathers, to cast out all thine enemies from before thee, as Yahuwah hath spoken. And when thy son asketh thee in the time to come, saying, What mean these testimonies and the statutes and the judgments which Yahuwah thy God hath commanded you? Then ye shall say unto thy son, We were Pharaoh's bondmen in Egypt, and Yahuwah brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand. And Yahuwah showed signs and wonders, great and sore, upon Egypt, upon Pharaoh, and upon all his household before our eyes. And he brought us out from thence, that he might bring us in, to give to us the land which he sware unto our fathers. And Yahuwah commanded to do all these statutes, and to fear Yahuwah our God for our good always, that he might preserve us alive, as it is this day. And this shall be our righteousness, if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahuwah our God, as he hath commanded us. And that is our reading for today, beautiful people. I know this video done gone on about an hour today, but I'm sorry, but I wanted to share those stories with what we were reading today, so y'all know I got stories for days. It was a couple more that I wanted to bring out with the rest of what I was reading, but she already, she hyped already, and it's time to go. All right, y'all, so hold on, you better go take a bath. Hold on, hop now. Let me close this out.
Mommy, I want to take a bath.
Careful. Well, you ain't gotta take a bath right now then, little girl. Okay. You're doing the most. Okay, y'all. So the blessing comes from Numbers chapter 6. May Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us his peace, his shalom, his wholeness, and all that concerns us in our life. He keeps us as we keep his commands. And even in our ignorance, he keeps us, because he is gracious and he's merciful unto us, even when we're not. All right, y'all. I love y'all, and I'll see you in the morning. Peace.